everyone, welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper. You've likely seen our next guest, Lilliana Vazquez, as a style expert and contributor on shows like The Today Show and Access Hollywood. But now you can catch her every day on Enews and Pop of the Morning, where she and co-host Scott Tweedie break down the biggest stories in pop culture and entertainment. Please help me welcome Lilliana Vazquez.
Thank you, guys. I'm so happy to be here. I've never been here before.
Oh my God, well, welcome. I'm happy that this is happening right now.
I know, me too.
I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. I've seen you just on so many shows doing your thing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On this whole new phase you're entering. It's such a big deal.
You know what? I'm just gonna own it. It is a big deal. I think so many times people are like, oh, no, this is such a big deal. And it's such a big deal not just because of the platform and the fact that I've been a fan of E since I can remember. It's because I have been grinding it out in this business and in this industry for a decade. These kinds of jobs don't come up that often, and when they do, it's impossible to even get in the door. So I think having put in my time and done literally every TV job under the sun, which I have, there have been some bad ones, bad in the way that I can't believe I did it, but bad in the way that it taught me a new skill and it taught me a new lesson. So yeah, thank you so much. It's so exciting.
I'm super proud of you because, I mean, like so many, I grew up watching E! News. It's been such a big part of my life. The hosts are such a, you know, you feel like they're friends. You feel like you know them.
I mean, Juliana Rancic, are you kidding? Like, I watched every red carpet she's ever done. I'm such a fangirl of hers. The fact that she, like, sent me a shout out on Sunday night, like, I almost cried. Like, I really almost cried.
I did see you also tear up when you were signing your contract. So what was that experience like? I saw that video, and I think it was your mom on the other
It was my mom on the other end. I mean, again, it's been such a journey to get to this place, and my mom has always been just a huge supporter and an advocate of mine, sometimes to the point where I think she, like, pushed me too far out of my comfort zone, but that's what they're there for. Like, they see the you that you can't see yet. And so I wanted to share that moment with her, and the contract, because we live in 2020, came in digitally.
I saw that. I was like, is that an iPad?
Yeah, it was an iPad. It's like there's no paper contracts anymore. You sign on an iPad, and so
sign with your finger, or did they give you the?
My husband is like super tech forward, so he has one of those fancy pencils. Yeah. I don't. I would have signed it with like my finger or like a lip gloss. And so he's like, listen, you're gonna want your mom to be a part of this. Let's FaceTime her. And I said, absolutely. So we FaceTimed her, and my mom's super spiritual, and she always prays for me. And so she prayed over the contract, she prayed over my husband and I got to share that moment with her. And I was definitely crying after. It was really.
That is so cool and so special. And I love that you shared that, you know.
Yeah, and she prayed for me in Spanish, and I'm so proudly Mexican and Puerto Rican. And I think that's another reason that I'm so happy to be at this place, because you don't see a lot of people that come from my background, especially Mexican and Puerto Rican. It's such a unique combo. And I think having that moment and having it happen in Spanish, I wanted to put that out there so that there is no mistake about it. English is my second language. I grew up speaking Spanish. I speak Spanish to my mom, to my aunts, to my uncles, to my cousins, and it's such a part of who I am. And that moment happened in Spanish for that reason. So I wanted to make sure and share it.
And that's why this platform is going to be so amazing for you, because we are going to get to just know more about you and your background. Are you excited for people just to get to see who Lilliana is?
Absolutely. You know, you said you've seen me on shows like Today and Access, and when I'm there, I'm talking about fashion, right? Like, I'm really sharing the expertise that I have, but I'm a vehicle for the models that I have there and for the trends, and I'm there to, like, educate the audience and teach them something new. And now I feel like it's kind of been flipped around. Like, I was on Hoda and Jenna today, and it was so weird to not be there as an expert, but to be there as a guest. And I'm like, wait a second, this is wrong. Where are the models? Cue the models, because I'm not comfortable just being out there, like, sitting on the stage with you. This is not normally what I do.
A role reversal.
It's a role reversal, and it's one that I'm welcoming with open arms. But I will have to say, it's definitely been different to kind of see yourself in this way.
Yeah, and especially on the new show, Pop of the Morning.
Yes.
Which you guys, what is this, like day 3 or?
Y'all, it's day 3. We've only been doing this for 3 days. They have not canceled the show yet. We have not made any huge mistakes on air, so we're like cruising right into day 4. But I will say, adjusting to the schedule has been so hard because we're live at 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which means we're in the office at 3:45 a.m. and then we're live again at 11. So I kind of joke that I live the life of like an infant, like a newborn now. Like, I take naps throughout the day. I eat multiple meals. I'm kind of cranky a lot. So I go to bed between 7:30 and 8.
You're on that Today Show. I mean, luckily you were a contributor so many times.
Yeah.
You kind of know the
But I did
pacing.
Hoda and Kathy Lee for like 6 years. Like I didn't get in until 8 o'clock in the morning. Going in at 3:45. It's not even about being an early morning person. It's, are you a middle of the night person? Because that's what I have now become. I'm a middle of the night person.
Yeah, because 3, that's not morning
It's
to
like
me.
deep REM.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just going to sleep at 3 if I'm going to be. I'm a night owl, though, so it's like.
We need to hang out more.
Yeah.
I'm
so much more productive at that. Yeah, so it's like, that's where our lives are crossed, and then you'll keep going to work, and I'll just go to sleep.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the vibe of Pop of the Morning.
Yeah.
Because it is a really fun, light, conversational show. So what is the kind of atmosphere you guys are hoping to create?
I describe it like having brunch with your best friends on a Sunday. Like you can't wait to catch up and like dish on your favorite reality TV shows, all of the celebrity headlines that are happening, stuff that's just happening online that's in our feeds, in our Twitter stream. And that's kind of how I describe it. It's the 3 of us. So it's myself, Scott Tweedie, who's new to the US. He's from Australia. He's very, very handsome and very charming, and the accent is killer.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. You heard it?
Oh, I watched.
It's pretty good. And then we just, of course, announced Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champion, New York Giant, is sitting on the panel with us. So there's 3 of us co-hosting the show. And it's interesting because mostly in daytime, you tend to get female voices. And so we're, I think, the only show that has 2 males and 1 female. And what's really cool is that obviously Scott's from Australia, so he brings a really cool global perspective to the show. Victor is a dad, so he's a single dad. I mean, he's dating Karuchi, but he's not married. And so he's kind of navigating that world. And he's an athlete, so he comes from a totally different world. And then I'm there as like the female giving the voice. So it's a really interesting conversation that we're having every day. And we're opening up a lot. You know, I've like kind of warned my family and my husband, like, prepare, it's live, and I'm gonna put it out there.
That's where, I mean, the vulnerability that comes in a role like that, I think people don't understand because you're going so quick. You're used to being live and going quick, and you have to really, I mean.
You gotta think on your toes.
Yeah, you gotta think on your toes.
You gotta think on your toes.
And then you also have to like bite your tongue sometimes.
I mean, today they wanted us to ask questions. There was this one question that came up today. It was, I guess let's talk about it. So the question was, how many times a week do you have sex with your partner? And I was like, my mother-in-law and my mom are watching this show. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable. I'm like, Victor, it seems like you have a more exciting life. Are you okay sharing? He's like, yeah, bring it on. So it's really fun to figure out where people can be vulnerable, what people are vulnerable about, and then what's kind of off limits. So we're navigating that live every day. And then, of course, we're also doing really fun interviews with people that I'm a huge fan of. I am a reality TV junkie, and Vanderpump Rules premiered last night. So we had Jax Taylor on today, who I've been watching since season 1.
Such a mess.
He's a hot mess, but I will say he's definitely cleaned up his act for Britney. So it's fun to get these people in our studio. We have Kristen Cavallari tomorrow. I mean, these are the people that I watch in my free time, and now I'm sitting down and having conversations with them at 11 o'clock every day.
Do you have a dream interview? I mean, you've interviewed so many people at this point.
I have a couple. Sarah Jessica Parker is very, very high on my list. She's just so real and so genuine, and I respect her so much as an entrepreneur.
It's definitely going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I'm going to find a way to get her on.
That's going to happen.
So I want to, and I just respect her so much as a fashion icon, especially living in New York City. I have a feeling she's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to move to New York. Like I wanted her life in a way. So she's really high on my list. I know. Michelle Obama. I don't know if she's coming on Pop of the Morning, but I'm just going to put it out there. You never know. She's incredible. We've had the opportunity to work together once before at the White House. And I always said, I was like, I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back.
You know what? She's one of those amazing women that I feel like just if she likes you, she's like, yeah, let's do this.
She actually might.
Yeah.
I mean, she's doing an IGTV show now.
I'm just saying, you just got to this is a place where I talk about manifesting a lot. I'm like, let's put it out there.
Listen, you, me, and Oprah are manifesting for 2020.
All day.
Michelle is coming on Pop of the Morning.
That's going to happen, guys. You heard it here
You heard it right here first.
Can I please be in the audience?
Yeah, yes.
Like,
you can
even
come
if there's no
on.
audience, can I just stand by a camera and...
Listen, you can come to the studio anytime you want.
So in addition to this amazing news show, you are also hosting Enews.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. This is the logo of the show that I host. Yeah, I'm hosting Enews. So Scott Tweedie and I host Enews every morning at 7 a.m. And, you know, it's a big change. This is a show that has been in LA for a very, very long time. I'm sure when you think of Enews, you think of it as a nighttime entertainment magazine show. It was an hour long. Juliana and Jason are the most recent hosts. And what they have done and built, and of course Ryan Seacrest was a former host, is incredible. And so to take it from LA to New York was a really, really big risk and a big step. But to me, everything is happening on East Coast time out of New York City. And what's happening is you're getting entertainment stories later in the day. So you're getting them at 7. But if you guys are anything like me, I've already read all the headlines, right? It's in my Twitter feed. It's on Instagram. Celebrities are breaking their own stories. So by the time you get to 7 p.m., I wouldn't really call it news. And if we're truly going to be e-news, then we need to be happening when news is breaking. And it's breaking at 7 a.m. out of New York City. And I love that. And I also think that people really want specialty programming in the morning. Like for my husband, he watches politics. Like that's what he's doing in the morning, and he's watching business. He watches CNBC and MSNBC religiously. My brother is a coach in Bryan, Texas. He loves football. He watches ESPN. He gets up every day. And then there's the rest of us that are like, well, if I don't want to watch news and I don't want to watch politics and I don't want to do business, what can I watch? I put on Netflix and watch old episodes of Gossip Girl. That's how I start my day. But now you can wake up with E! News and hear the stories that you are interested in and that I'm incredibly passionate about. So we are giving you all of the latest entertainment news. The Harvey Weinstein trial just started in New York City on Monday, so we're covering that. And then, of course, we're giving you all of the pop culture news that you really care about.
Yeah. And that must be fun for you to get to sort of switch gears and do a lot of different kind of things in the space.
Yeah, I think that for me was one of the reasons I really wanted this job, because I think entertainment news isn't just entertainment news. It is the news that we are talking about, right? It is the pulse of the life that we live in now. And a lot of times entertainment news gets kind of like thrown over here. It's like the stepchild of news. But those are the headlines that I'm talking about with my friends. Those are the headlines that are getting the most clicks on websites, whether it's the New York Times or CNN. They all cover news. And so I think it's really cool that we're able to really cover that entire spectrum with the E! News lens and under the E! News and E! Entertainment brand.
I would say at this point, everything is so interconnected. I mean, if we're going to be talking about the bushfires in Australia, how could you not talk about the entertainment industry and all the celebs donating? I mean, everything is so interconnected anyway, so it just makes sense.
I mean, when you watch the Golden Globes on Sunday, it's not just an award show. It's an award show. It's a political statement. I mean, all of this is happening at the same time, which is why this move to me feels so timely and so now, especially as we go into 2020 as an election year.
I mean, say you guys are,
it's on.
Anybody on TV in 2020, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a wild ride. Buckle in.
And what I love about your ride the most is that I think a lot of people will look at you, a very successful TV personality and host, and be like, oh, she definitely majored in broadcasting, or she, but you actually didn't. And I think that's so important for people to know that you can kind of create your own adventure. So let's talk about how you
love that. Create your own adventure. That is kind of how I created. Yeah, that's exactly how I did
like, I'll do this next and do this next. Yeah. So take me through sort of the beginning stages of you getting into media.
So I went to George Washington University. I'm one of the first people in my family to attend college. So I went on a full academic scholarship. And I think like most first generation kids, your parents want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant. Anything else is like, well, you're going to spend all this money to go to school and then you're not going to have a real job. So I went, and I was an international business and entrepreneurship major. But I was always really, really passionate about storytelling. And so I kind of found my way through extracurricular activities. I launched a radio station there. So I produced radio for hours and hours and hours, and I loved it. I wrote for the newspaper. And when I was graduating, I didn't want to go into a traditional news job. I didn't have a reel because I didn't study journalism. And I was like, I'm just going to get myself to New York and I will kind of figure it out. And it's funny that, you know, at 22 graduating college, that same attitude, which is, I'm just going to figure it out, has served me so well, because I have made these crazy decisions that have taken me left, right. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm hanging upside down like a bat. But at the same time, having that entrepreneurial spirit to just say, I will figure it out, has helped me so much, because in this business, most of your competitors have gone to J school or they're media majors or they know how to edit. I didn't know how to do any of that. But what I did know how to do was really focus in on the thing that I was passionate about and that I had a voice for and that I wanted to tell stories about. And for me, that ended up being fashion, right? And it ended up being budget fashion. And I started a blog in 2008 called The Cheap Chica's Guide to Style. By the way, these pants are $50 and they're from H&M. Just saying. That. I know. By the way, nothing has changed. Like nothing has changed since '08. And that storytelling through a blog, and at the time, by the way, nobody had a blog. I would tell people that I had a blog, and they'd be like, is that a disease? What is that exactly?
I got a case of the blogs.
I got a case of the blogs, and people would be like, do people read the internet that way? And I'm like, yeah, but people just weren't blogging in that way in 2008. And I found my voice through that blog, which was I wanted to make fashion accessible and attainable. And keeping that spirit and everything that I've done since then, I think has really focused my storytelling and focused my voice. And at the end of the day, that's what journalists are, right? We're storytellers, whatever your medium is. And now everyone is a storyteller. You have a phone in your pocket that allows you to broadcast to the entire world. And so when I started my blog, I got a lot of media opportunities and I got to do more. And I had a radio background and I had a writing background. And so those two skills came really naturally to me. And I also think because I worked in radio, I was able to tell stories without visuals. And that's the most important part of what we do. If you can communicate a story and create a feeling for someone without moving images, you're gonna be really good when you get to television. And in that time, I was living in New York. I ended up moving to Philly. And there weren't a lot of TV opportunities in Philly, and certainly not for somebody like me that had no TV background. So I enrolled in what I think is the greatest TV training of all time, and that is QVC in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And people always ask, God, you're just so good live and in the moment. How did you get so good? Is it because you've been on, NBC and the Today Show and Access Hollywood? I'm like, QVC, the Q. And the reason it is because you are on live in the middle of the night, working crazy hours, not as crazy as I'm working now, but crazy hours, and you're live for 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Sometimes I was live for 120 minutes, no prompter, no cue cards, and girl, you have to sell.
That is the best training ever.
And they're in your ear, constantly cueing you, so you've got to learn how to work with the control room. You've got to learn how to tell a story, because the reason people buy on QVC is because you're selling a story about a product. It can be a crock pot, but you're telling the best story ever about the crock pot. And that was like the best live TV training I could have ever asked for, and I'm not sure in the moment that I wanted that job, but it trained me in a way that really allowed me to get very successful very quickly as I interviewed for jobs and auditioned for things, because live skills are very different than tape skills. And not having gone to a journalism school, it was a real pivotal moment for me. So I'm always very grateful for QVC. And I love you, QVC. And also living in Philly, I think it's one of those kind of like big fish, little pond. And Philadelphians are the greatest, most wonderful people. And I have my career because of Philly. I went in to interview for a job as a social media writer for NBC 10 Philadelphia, covering lifestyle, which was something that I loved. And somebody there said, you know what? I feel like you should meet with our news director. Like, maybe you could think about doing stuff on camera, because I know you've written before and I know you've done radio. And I said, sure. And so I met with my news director, who is one of my greatest champions and one of my closest friends now. His name is Chris Blackman. And I sold myself to him because I was really good at selling, and he hired me on the spot. So my very first job, my real first TV job on air, was in the number 4 market in the country, in Philadelphia, with my own branded segment.
That is so cool, because I mean, when you graduate and you get your first job, typically they're like, hopefully you'll get in the top 100 market.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
And you're really good.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, and that's what people told me. They're like, oh, you're going to be in TV. You're going to move back to Texas to Bryan, College Station, Amarillo. And I was like, no. I'm going to do it here in Philly. And they're like, people wait 5-10 years for these jobs. But again, he's one of those people that just takes a risk and just saw something in me. And I think it was hunger, and it's that I can figure this out attitude.
Well, the landscape of media has changed so much in the last decade. And that's why I wanted you to share your experience, because I think for kids coming up now, they have to just be reminded that being creative and entrepreneurial, and that's really going to be the only way to bust through or break through, because it's just so competitive and there's so much stuff going on.
It's so competitive. And I think also really staying true to what your voice is. You hear this all the time. And I go back to that blog. I go back to that one nugget that sparked the blog. What is it that I want to tell a story about? And I wanted to tell the story that fashion, yes, it's amazing when it's high end and it's couture, but at the end of the day, fashion is just how you represent yourself to the world. And you don't have to have a lot of money to do that. You need a little creativity, and you need a couple of really high end images to inspire your style. And going back to that accessibility really helped me tell that story. And I just kind of always kept going back to that. And even when you see me on the Today Show or when you see me on Access Hollywood, I always go back to that. I'm like, listen, I want to be accessible. I want to be attainable. And maybe my clothes can be aspirational, but I think it's the way you relate to people, and you just want to feel really personable. And I think that's why this format works so well for me.
And you're known for sharing what you're wearing all the time, where you got it from, how people can find it. So is that going to continue at E?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I continue to do that on my Instagram, and I firmly believe that like you don't have to spend a lot of money to look good. Like I said, I just realized my top is also Forever 21. I think it's like
really?
Yeah, this one's $19.99 Forever. I own it in 4 colors.
I literally just almost bought something like that for like $150.
Do not waste your money. I will send you the link.
I'm a lazy shopper. I need help.
I hope that I continue to share it. And obviously, I get to wear amazing gowns on the red carpet. And now sometimes people loan me clothes. But at the end of the day, like I just love a good deal. Like it just feels so good to grab something like on the clearance rack or to find something like this that's such a basic and a classic for like $19. I'm more proud of telling people how little I spent, not how much I spent.
My favorite thing is somebody's like, "Are those Louboutins?" I'm like, "No."
And you're like, "These are Aldo."
Oh yeah, exactly. It's literally. I was like, "No, these are from Aldo. They were $65. They're in season. You can go
be
get them."
proud of right. Own that. Me too. I agree.
I'm looking forward to everything going on with you. We do have a couple questions.
Oh, okay.
Before we get out of here.
Yeah.
Who has the first one?
Hi.
I'm Donna. I was just wondering, with so many different social media channels, how do you know what stories to cover for Enews?
Oh, that's a great question. So I do not have all power to pick the news. We have an amazing crew and staff at Enews, and we also have an amazing team in LA. So what we do is we kind of watch the stories that really have a pulse overnight, like because we want to be breaking. We want to be at 7 a.m. with the stories that you guys are talking about, that you guys are clicking on. And so we sit in a team meeting and we kind of decide what we think will really capture the spirit of the news in entertainment that morning. I push for a lot of stories that include diversity. I think that's something that's really important to me. Like today, the creator of Ugly Betty passed away tragically, and that was a story I wanted to cover because that was such a huge moment for the Latinx community. Salma Hayek was on that show, America Ferrara. It didn't make air, but I just want to continue pushing for those stories. So we have a really diverse group of people. We have people that are younger than me, older than me, from all different backgrounds, and I think that's what's so cool about this team in New York, because I think there's just natural diversity here in New York City. So people bring forward the stuff that they're really passionate about. So that was a story for me that I was really passionate about that didn't make air, but I'm going to continue to push for those stories and hope that those stories do make air. And then we cover a lot of reality, a lot of the E-fam. Obviously, we're going to cover the Kardashians. Why not? But yeah, it's kind of a whole wide range, and we don't have like a scientific process for it. You just take the temperature of the room, and it's amazing when you get 10 people in a room together that you think are really, really smart and super bright. You just start to have natural conversations, and you're like, the audience at home wants to continue this conversation. Those are the stories that we end up picking.
Especially when it has to do with like the royal family, like Meghan Markle.
About?
Can we please?
What is going on?
I am in shock with just everything happening with Meghan and Harry, and I'm like, Meghan went in and changed a monarchy, like not just like a
entire
family.
monarchy, generational monarchy.
Monarchy.
She's like, I got this.
You know what? We gotta make some changes, and it's happening. I don't know. I'm all for a move to Canada. I think that makes sense. I think it makes it more relatable and more accessible, and you know, they want to make their own money.
Right,
and I say no to that.
Now it's why not. We used to ask why all the time. Well, why? Why? Now I think the question is flipped, and it's like, well, why not? Yeah. You know, why not try it?
Especially with the show like The Crown on. Have you watched The Crown?
Are you kidding?
And you have like the royals in the past who wanted to deviate from the plan and they got vilified for it. And now we see it happening and the monarchy seems more accepting of it. So I think it's, I don't know. It all seems like good timing to me.
I think it's perfect timing. I cannot wait to dive into the story tomorrow.
Please, I will be watching. And we have one more.
Hi.
I just want to say I love your energy.
Oh, thank you.
Very natural, very authentic.
Thank you.
I just have one question for you. So, what have you noticed as the biggest change in lifestyle trends lately?
The biggest change in lifestyle trends is that people give no fucks anymore when it comes to fashion. I think we are living in one of the most exciting times when it comes to fashion. You saw this really on Sunday night at the Golden Globes. Women and men too, by the way, and I have to applaud the men because they finally dropped like the straight penguin look. People are just owning what it means to be an individual. And we now are saying, you know what, that's really cool. You want to stand out. You want to be your own person. And while I look at that through a fashion lens, I think it's happening in all different elements, whether it's food. You see chefs experimenting with different types of food. Travel. People are going to these destinations that they never thought they would ever visit. And I just think people are saying, you know what, like life is really, really short. You only get one life on this planet. And I want to live it my way, not the way that it's acceptable to everyone else. So for me, this is like the most exciting award season that we've had in a really long time because I just want to continue to see these amazing actors and actresses like push the boundaries and show us what it really means to be an individual. Kerry Washington killed it on Sunday night, and people were like, I don't know, was that appropriate? Like, should she have worn that? And I'm like, why? Because she's a mother? Because she's of a certain age? Why shouldn't she have worn that? And they're like, well, I don't know. It's just not the Kerry Washington. I'm like, you don't know Kerry Washington. I don't know Kerry Washington. And I look at that moment and I think of all of the women that have something in their closet that makes them feel like they're taking a risk, going, I'm not going to wear it today. I don't feel like today's the day. They saw Kerry Washington do that on Sunday, and they're like, you know what? I am going to wear that color, or I am going to wear a shorter skirt, or I'm just going to say, to hell with it. I'm going to wear it because I feel like wearing it. Everyone else be damned. So I think that's the biggest trend that's happening in lifestyle. Yeah.
Or they're going to be like Jason Momoa and like just
Yeah,
rock
and
a
just wear
black
a
tank
tank
top and be
top.
like, guys, I'm hot.
Yeah.
I'm a big
and
guy.
I'm a gentleman
It's
because
crowded.
my wife is cold.
Thank you. People are taking risks, and I also
God.
appreciate it.
Me too.
Well, I cannot wait to keep tuning in and see all the stories you guys cover. Again, congratulations. I'm so proud of you, and I
Thank
just look
you.
forward to 2020
And thank you for
Yeah.
having me, and thank you to all of you for being here. I know it's like cold outside, so we kept you warm. But thank you for coming. This is like such an honor. I've never been here before, and what a great first experience.
Well, please come back anytime.
I would love to.
And in the meantime, people can catch you on Pop of the Morning. It airs weekdays at 11:10 Central, and Enews airs weekdays at 7:06 Central. Put your hands together for Lilliana Vazquez.
Thank you.
Thank you.